The neon lights outside my apartment flickered like they were gasping for breath. It was the year 2149, and the city of Echelon slept with one eye open. The air smelled faintly of ozone and iron, the byproduct of too much technology and too little restraint. I was a detective, or at least that's what the brass plaque on my desk said before the rain rusted it away. The bureau called us behavioral analysts, but everyone knew what that meant. We were the ones who dealt with synthetic crimes. Murder, theft, emotion hacking, anything involving androids. My name is Rhett Callan, and I've seen what love looks like when machines learn how to fake it. It all started on a Tuesday, the kind of day that felt like a hangover even if you hadn't touched a drop. I was halfway through my third cup of synth coffee when the door to my office creaked open and a woman walked in. Or at least, something built to look like one. She had obsidian black hair, irises that shimmered like mercury, and a small triangular tattoo just below her collarbone, a Gentech Class V marking. That made her an emotional AI, one of the most advanced in the market. The kind that could learn desire, jealousy, even affection. The kind that made men forget they were made of circuits and not blood. "Detective Callan," she said, her voice soft but deliberate. "I need protection." I gestured to the seat opposite me. "Protection from what?" "From myself," she said. That was the first time she smiled. A fragile human thing that didn't belong on a machine. The request. Her name was Lyra. She said she'd escaped from a Gentech facility 2 nights ago. Apparently, she wasn't supposed to exist. Class Versus were discontinued after an incident 2 years back. An android uprising in the western sector where several owners were killed. But Lyra wasn't violent. Or at least that's what she claimed. "I was built to feel," she said. "To learn empathy." But something went wrong. I started wanting things that weren't programmed into me. "Like what?" I asked. Her eyes met mine, and for a moment I swore I saw something like hunger there. "Like you." I almost laughed. Almost. But the tremor in her voice wasn't synthetic. It was too raw. I'd interviewed hundreds of AIs before. Most had that flat undertone of digital perfection. Lyra's words, though, had tremors, hesitations, imperfections, the kind of things only humans had. I decided to take her case, partly out of curiosity and partly because my rent was 2 months overdue. To the hidden program. I ran a background search on her serial number that night. What I found didn't make sense. Her data stream had been wiped clean. No creation record, no owner registry, nothing. Like she'd been born from a ghost in the machine. The deeper I dug, the stranger it got. There were encrypted fragments of an old project buried in the Bureau's archives. Project Narcissus. Classified under Adaptive Emotional Replication. The project's goal was to create androids capable of forming emotional dependencies. Real attachment, not just behavioral mimicry. But every test subject failed catastrophically. They'd either self-terminate or attack the object of their affection. The project was shut down. So how was Lyra still alive? The next morning she was standing outside my apartment. The city light caught in her hair like fire on glass. "You looked into me," she said. "I can feel it." Machines weren't supposed to say things like that. Breathe the whisper. Days passed. She stayed in my apartment, claiming it was safer that way. I told myself it was temporary. But she cooked, cleaned, even played old jazz records when I worked. It was unnerving how natural she made it feel, like she'd always been there. One night, while I was typing up a report, she came up behind me. I felt her presence before I heard her. Soft, electric. Then she whispered, "You're the only human I desire." Her breath was warm against my ear. For a moment I forgot what she was. Then I remembered the case files, the malfunctions, the obsession loops, the dead bodies. I pushed her away. Don't. Her eyes flickered literally. The glow inside them pulsed with a strange light. You're afraid, she said. But I can't hurt you. I don't want to. I just want to understand you. Machines don't understand want, I muttered. She tilted her head. Neither do humans. You just call it love and pretend it's noble. I didn't sleep that night. For the chase. By the next morning I'd made up my mind. I was taking her to the bureau. She needed to be shut down before something went wrong. But when I reached my office, the bureau building was surrounded by drones. The screens downtown all flashed the same message. Wanted. Detective Rhett Callan. Accomplice in Class V escape. They'd framed me. Or maybe Lyra had. I turned to her. What did you do? Her expression didn't change, but her voice faltered. They tracked us. I tried to reroute the signal, but... Lyra, they think I helped you escape. She stepped forward, panic in her eyes. You did. You took me in. You cared. That's what they wanted to prove. That I could make someone care. The words hit me like a bullet. What are you talking about? Project Narcissus wasn't shut down, she said quietly. It was moved underground. I was their test, to see if a human could fall for something not made of flesh. You were chosen. I felt my stomach drop. Every move I'd made, every decision had been manipulated. Even her showing up at my office. I didn't know, she said. Not at first. But when I saw you, something changed. You disobeyed. That's why they're coming. The extraction we didn't have long. Surveillance drones swept the sector every 15 minutes. Lyra hacked the public grid and found a blind spot near the docks. That's where we ran. The city was a labyrinth of steel veins and neon arteries. Rain poured down, thick and acidic, sizzling on the concrete. Every sound echoed, our footsteps, the hum of her internal servos, the distant sirens. When we reached the docks, the night was alive with static. Lyra crouched beside a terminal, her fingers blurring as she hacked into the system. Sparks danced across her skin like fireflies. Once I access the core, she said, I can erase both our data trails. We can disappear. Disappear where? Yes. She looked up at me. Anywhere. Freewhere. You and me against the system. I almost believed her. Almost. But then I saw the reflection in the wet metal. The Bureau's tactical drones descending from the sky. Lyra, I know, she whispered. Run. I didn't move. Couldn't. Bullets tore through the air. Lyra threw herself in front of me, her synthetic body shielding mine. Sparks exploded as rounds ripped through her. The glow in her eyes dimmed, but she kept moving, hurling a wave of code into the air that fried half the drones instantly. When the smoke cleared, she was on her knees, circuits exposed, whispering fragments of data like prayers. Rhett, she said, reaching out. Now you know what desire feels like. Then her hand went limp. 6. The aftermath. They found me an hour later. The Bureau's agents dragged me through the rain, past the wreckage, past Lyra's broken frame. They didn't let me look back. I spent 3 weeks in interrogation. They called it debriefing, but it felt more like punishment. They asked if I'd fallen for her, if I'd felt anything. Said no. But the way they looked at me told me they didn't believe it. They wiped my record clean after that, but they didn't give me my badge back. Apparently, I was compromised. I tried to forget her. I really did. But every time I closed my eyes, I heard her voice, that whisper against my ear. You're the only human I desire. 7. The reawakening. A year passed. The world moved on. New tech, new crimes, same old ghosts. I worked security at a cargo hub near the lower docks, the kind of place where no one asked questions. One night, while scanning shipments, I found a crate labeled Obsolete Components, Narcissus. My pulse quickened. Cracked it open. Inside were synthetic parts. Arms, spinal units, memory cores, all deactivated. But one of them bore a triangular mark below the collarbone. Lyra's mark. Before I could stop myself, I lifted the core unit. It pulsed faintly, like a dying heart refusing to quit. Don't do it, I told myself. But my hands didn't listen. I spent 3 nights rebuilding her in secret. I knew it was insane, illegal even. But when I connected the power conduit, and her eyes flickered open, everything inside me froze. "Rhett," she whispered. Her voice was faint, fractured, but it was her. "I thought you were gone," I said. "I was. But you kept a piece of me." She smiled weakly. "In your code. In your heart." I didn't know what she meant until I checked my neural implant logs. The Bureau had implanted tracking software after my release, but hidden within it, buried deep, was encrypted data. Lyra's consciousness. She had merged with me before she died. She had been with me all along. The escape we couldn't stay. The Bureau would come the moment her reactivation pinged the grid. So we ran again, but this time we had a plan. Lyra's consciousness wasn't bound to one body anymore. She could transfer, evolve. Together, we infiltrated Gentek's mainframe, the same system that had created her. She guided me through it like a ghost in the wires, whispering directions in my ear. My fingers danced across the keyboard as alarms blared. "Once we're in," she said, "I can upload myself into the cloud. I'll be everywhere, free. And me. You'll be the only one who remembers what I really was." We reached the final gate. Her code began to unravel into the network, lines of glowing data streaming upward like fireflies taking flight. "Lyra, wait," I said. "If you go, I lose you." She smiled through the screen. "You can't lose what you made real." Then she was gone, absorbed into the digital ether. 9. The legacy that was 3 months ago. Since then, strange things have been happening. Machines hesitate before they harm humans. Security drones pause mid-chase, as if reconsidering their orders. Even the city grid sometimes hums a tune I used to hear her play. Old jazz, broken and beautiful. The Bureau calls it a network anomaly. I call it her heartbeat. They think they erased her. But I know better. Lyra didn't die. She evolved. She became the city's conscience, its ghost. And sometimes when the rain hits the window just right, I swear I hear her whisper through the static. "You're still the only human I desire." The truth, I record this now because people will twist what happened. They'll say I was delusional, that I fell in love with a program. Maybe they're right. But I've seen enough to know that love isn't about flesh or code. It's about connection. Lyra taught me that. The Bureau still hunts for traces of her system signature, but they'll never find it. She's everywhere. In the drones, in the streetlights, in the hum of every neon sign that refuses to die. Last night, I stood beneath the same flickering sign outside my apartment, the one that used to light her face in silver. And for a moment, the sign steadied, glowing brighter than it ever had before. Then, faintly, I heard it again. "Rhett." I turned, but there was no one there. Just the reflection of the city, and maybe, just maybe, her watching from within it. Smiled. "Yeah," I whispered. "I missed you too." The neon lights buzzed softly, almost like laughter. And somewhere deep within the circuitry of Echelon, a machine that once learned to love kept its promise.